Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel. And as you would imagine, or I suspect you might imagine, we are not coming from the studios of MCTV this morning and this afternoon. We are actually having a Rabbi's Roundtable on Skype due to the realities of what we are now experiencing. Joining me by Skype, not only is our producer, Nick Richards, but also the good Father James Nash, who is, as many of you know, the father at Saints Peter and Paul. And Jim, thanks for being with us on the Rabbi's Roundtable by Skype.
Great to be here. It's my first time doing this, so I'm excited.
It won't be your last, trust me. I thought, given all the realities that we are facing at the moment, the unique circumstances in which we find ourselves, that maybe you and I should just try to offer the listening audience and the watching audience just a bit of hope and prayer, and just a short discussion on spiritual uplift and just keeping safe and strong. Very strange. So any thoughts or comments, what you've been doing, how you've been dealing with the folk at Saints Peter and Paul, or just in general?
Well, obviously what we've been doing is, and I think after talking to you about what you were doing with your services, we have our connection here is a little weak. I'm in the office right now, but at the church it's a little weak. So we weren't able to stream anything. I tried it one day, but it didn't work out very well. But we've been recording all the daily masses. I've been putting a lot of videos out there and keeping people updated. And then we are fortunate to have a couple of professionals that are coming in to record masses for us. So that's all going up on YouTube and Facebook, my Facebook page, and so forth. I think, communication is a really important piece. Let people know that we're here for them. I've been making phone calls to some of the shut-ins. Well, Father Michael and I are going to call all the shut-ins and check on them. I think, one of the things I think is really important, you're probably doing a lot of this too, is just letting people know that, they're not abandoned in this, that we're there for them. If there's anything they need, like a lot of our folks have volunteered to go get groceries for people and all those kinds of things. So we're trying to reach out as much as we can. That's one of the things. And of course, just tell people to be safe and that, this too will pass at some time. I think it's going to be a different world when it does. But, we're going to get through this.
Well, absolutely, and it's really interesting. We've had the technology. We have a very bright fellow in the congregation who is really a master of technology. We've been able to live stream services, and one of the things that I found amazing is that we have several hundred people watching for each service, which thrills me on a lot of levels, just to know that people are hooking up and learning and tuning in, and we are able to reach those folk. Don't know who all of them are, and I'm just glad they've taken an interest. And like you, we've called the congregation. I've called everybody in the congregation. Our president, Elaine Friedman, is called. And you're right, Jim. The necessity to be in communication not only is provides a sense of security, but provides a real necessary sense of attachment. And I will tell you, as most folk know, not only is Easter coming this weekend, but we are in the middle of Passover. It was very strange to do a Passover Seder on Zoom. But I had my kids from Los Angeles and Texas and New York and family, mother and all that. And thank God for Zoom because it worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had most of our construction still going on. So fortunately, we're able to keep that. All meetings we're having, they're all done on either Zoom or some of them are just on the phone because we don't all have to necessarily look at each other. Not that we really want to look at each other anyway, but we don't actually have to do that. The other thing that I've realized is, in our diocese, there's about 56 parishes. So, and then there's, of course, the diocesan office, and they're all streaming masses, and the bishop is doing the Triduum and all those kinds of things.
Yep.
And while people appreciate that, they really want to see us. Like they want to stay connected to their church. They want to stay connected to their synagogue, to their community. And so
Absolutely.
you can always point people somewhere else. And I think sometimes you're not able to do everything, but you need to be doing something to help people realize that, again, they're not abandoned. They're still connected to the community. And I think that's been a great help. And I think what we've realized is maybe what you're realizing too. We never really ever planned on ever streaming anything, but there was a lady. We streamed, I think it was Sunday, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was. She's a double amputee. She is in the nursing home, and she had not seen Mass at our church in probably a couple of years. And so my daughter sent me a picture of her with her daughter's iPad. Now, here's a 90-some-year-old woman with an iPad. And, really moved by the fact that she was able to see the church again and all those kinds of things. So I think it's fine to, if you have to point people elsewhere for certain things, but it's important for them to see the people that are part of their church.
Absolutely. It maintains community. It provides a sense of stability in the face of all this disruption, without question. I also think it's really important for people to pay attention and follow what's going on and be safe. I was a little perturbed by those colleagues, I don't know, not in this area, but around the country, who are still having large worship services. This is not, the rabbis teach that if you are in a position to save a life and you don't do it, it's the ultimate sin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is just not wise given the danger of all this. And the fact, we're not in the studio, but Nick, you and I are doing it on Skype. We're going to communicate, and we'll get the message across. But part of that message is be safe and be smart. So.
Well, and I think the other thing too is, like a lot of our people, like your church is very much a part of ritual and having very strong ritual, and it really draws people in. And we get that from you, basically, from our Jewish brothers and sisters in so many ways. And then the other stuff we've stolen from people. But anyway, we people have to realize that sacraments are not some kind of magic, potion or magic wand that's going to keep you safe.
Right.
They're certainly going to help. Like when somebody's dying, we anoint them. That's going to help them in the journey. But that doesn't mean, unless barring some miracle, and I don't really want that to happen anywhere near here, is that they jump out of bed and said, "Oh my God, I'm cured." You're 95 years old and you're breathing your last, and you got anointed, you jump out of bed. That just doesn't happen. They're not a magic salve. So you got to use, God gave us a brain and gave us some common sense, and we need to use that. It's just so hard for us because a lot of our folks, they want to go to confession. We can't, the bishop has really come down on that and said you can't, hear confessions. I went to the hospital. I don't know if you've been in there or not, but I went to the hospital to anoint somebody. No, I can't get into nursing homes, but I went to the hospital to anoint somebody. I got to tell you, those doctors and nurses and all that staff, they're putting their life on the line.
They absolutely are.
It was like a war zone in there. Yeah. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. So we got to really keep those people in our prayers.
No, we have been. We are the doctors and nurses and the first responders and the local constabulary, and they're all putting their lives on the line for us and for our safety. Our job is to respond and do what helps keep them safe and will keep us safe. We don't have a choice. I know it's difficult. I said to somebody the other day, I said, who would have thought that in the 21st century in the United States of America, we would have been brought to a standstill by a virus?
Yes.
And I've been thinking about that. I'll probably do a sermon in the next week or two on this. But what does that say about how we perceive ourselves as human beings? Maybe we're not as all-knowing and as invincible as we think we are, and I don't remember who the philosopher was, but somebody said that God has a sense of humor, and we see this in the fact that our perceptions as indefatigable We're not. You know,
Yeah.
we are part of nature, and we are susceptible to the thousand shocks and horrors that flesh is heir to.
I was having a cocktail with a doctor friend of mine. She was having a cocktail. Of course, I was having iced tea.
Of course.
Anyway, and it's interesting. Before this all started, she said to me, this is before, I mean, I guess they'd maybe heard of the coronavirus. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but it was a while. And she said, I just wonder how long it's going to be before there's another pandemic. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, it's about 100 years. And, the flu of 1918, or the flu of 1918. And sure enough, here we are. She didn't say to me, hey, I told you this was going to happen. But, it was just interesting because I think we are just an invincible people. It's just not going to happen. And I think it really has made us think. It's called families are, probably having more dinners together now than they were before because, they can't go anywhere, and so I hope I'm not a great learner. I mean, I'm really good. It's like after Christmas, I'm really nice to people. I'm nice to people anyway, but I'm really good at Christmas. And then after a couple of weeks, I'm driving in the car and I won't tell you what I say, but I'm not nice anymore, so I'm hoping that we learn more from this than we do from our nice Christmas or Hanukkah celebrations and come back to the same thing.
Nope. I think you're right. And I think I've noticed people being nicer to each other of late. And that may be an upside to all of this. And the recognition that we are not only in this together, but that we have an obligation to one another. We have a duty to one another. And that's, you want to call that biblical, that's fine by me. You want to call it God ordained, that's fine by me too. But irrespective how you see its source, that's our responsibility and our obligation to one another without question.
Right.
So we're going to make this a short show.
Okay.
But any words of comfort, anything else you'd like to add or say, or in some way inspire those who watch?
Well, we're in the midst of ours, like you are with Passover. We're in the midst of Holy Week, and then we're in Purim. We just celebrated the Passion of the Lord today, and Father Michael gave the homily, and and as much as we have to face the fact that in our belief that the brutal death of Jesus, in the midst of that, there is hope, and we are a people of hope. And I assume, for the same thing for our Jewish brothers and sisters and our people of, Islam and others, this too will pass. We will get through. We will get through this together, except separate. We can't be together right now. And I just hope we come through this smarter and, again, even more caring for each other than we have been. But we will get through this, and we will hopefully learn from it. So we're a people of hope, and tomorrow or Sunday we will celebrate, for Christians, the greatest hope in the resurrection of Christ.
Yep. And one last thought that isolation is not separation.
Right.
In this case, we maybe need to be isolated. You can't be in my office, and we can't be in the studio with Nick, but we are not separated. We are maintaining distance for all the right reasons, and yet our hearts and our spirits and our souls are connected. And as we go forth from here, I pray that we go from strength to strength. I hope everybody stays well and is well. Jim, I'm grateful for your time. Father Nash, always a pleasure.
Oh, Jim is fine. You don't need to call me. I don't unless I'm allowed to call you Rabbi Hyman, which I don't use. So Jim is fine.
That's fine. That's fine. Peter is fine as well. And Nick, thanks for taking the time to do the Rabbi's Roundtable. Everybody stay safe and well, and we will see you next time on, God willing, at the station, MCTV, on the Rabbi's Roundtable. Happy Passover, happy Easter, great Ramadan to everybody. Thanks.
Yes. God bless everybody.